Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Toronto Friends podcast. It is episode 1. I've been wanting to do a podcast for so long, and I'm so excited to bring none other than
Hi, or I guess I should say how I say it. Hey, it's Allie.
Allie is the celebrity, our favorite local Toronto celebrity, and I think a lot of you are obsessed with her. I made a video about it, and I wanted to have her on this podcast because she's just like one of us. She has fantastical stories that I know a lot of us are obsessed with. So it's just like a chill conversation that I want you to feel like you're in the living room and we're just talking about whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, Allie, where do you want to start?
Oh my gosh, it's been like such a roller coaster of a time since you posted the video, and I guess it went slightly viral. So that video really launched a lot of things for me. But I think a lot of people on the internet are also like, this didn't age well. Why did your video come out? And then Allie goes through the breakup. So to not keep people on their toes, maybe we can talk about that first and just like have an official, bigger debrief about it. It is a big part of my life. And to a lot of people's points, like I did put that out there on the internet, so I am happy to talk about it and just like address some burning questions that you have or you predict the internet might have, because I don't know, because I'm living it.
Yes. Okay. So the timeline is on Thursday. I think I posted the video about you being like, Toronto is all obsessed with this influencer and her stories, and the shares to likes ratio is off the charts. Like, people are very obsessed with her stories. And then we got drinks on, or then you had a live on Friday.
Yes.
Or was it Saturday? But after that, you had a live, and then you were talking about how in love you were. Can you recall that live? I know not everybody was on that live, but
yeah, that's true. Wynette's video blew up. It was Saturday, and then I stitched your video, and then we had a big debrief on live. And I know it's like such a big switch up. So at the time, and honestly still now, I was so in love with my boyfriend. And when Wynette and I got drinks, and this was Saturday night after the live had already happened, when I met Wynette for drinks, I was like a little bit on edge because my boyfriend at the time said he had to have a really difficult conversation with people who were close to him, and it was a difficult conversation about us. So that put me on edge because I was like, something was wrong. And I felt like something was wrong with it. Something was going on in my tummy. I felt it even at drinks. And then basically the next day, Sunday, we had to break up. And I know it went from one day we were in love and another day we were broken up. But my boyfriend decided to make the decision to basically save his relationship with his parents than to pursue one with me, because his parents weren't super excited about mine and his relationship and seeing it through any further. So that's why it's like so drastic, because I did not see it coming. I too did not see it coming. It kind of just happened all at once, and I was still in love. And that's why the emotions of TikTok has come out the way it has, because it's not like I did the breaking up. I was broken up with. I was surprised. It took me by complete surprise. And that's why like the emotions are so raw, and explains the suddenness of it all.
That makes sense. And how do you think TikTok influences that? Most people, when they're going through a breakup, it's still horrible, awful, but it's a private process. For you, you have so many opinions. You had great comments. You had people really supporting you, which was nice to see. And I feel like out of all the breakups, that was probably the one that you got the most support in, for sure.
For sure.
But then I guess, could you talk about the good and the bad by experiencing your most recent breakup online? Especially after the video that I posted. We didn't know that that was going to happen all in a few days.
Yeah, we had no idea. No one could have known. And then to experience a breakup so publicly, and because so much of my content was about dating, about my love story. So it's definitely very interesting, because the internet has also kind of stirred the pot a little in how this breakup continued to progress. So another video that was quite popular was the one where I posted, I was very emotional again, and I was like, please do not talk about me on Reddit, because there's the famous Reddit thread, or maybe a couple, about me. And I was still working through things with my boyfriend at the time. I mean, like, a reason to break up where was nothing to do with you and your love, but like an external factor like parents, it was
Mm-hmm.
difficult for me to accept. And we were still working through it. And then that random person on the internet sent the Reddit thread, and my boyfriend read through every single post, I think, and that really affected the breakup as well. Like, maybe we could have gotten to a better place, but this was just like another hurdle that we have to jump through again. And maybe what was salvageable through the internet, through people going out of their way to do weird things, kind of catalyzed like an even worse off situation for me. But there's good things that have come from this too. Like, I'm rebranding a little bit. I don't want to be completely known for dating life and men and doing and practicing like unhealthy relationships. I don't want that. And I want it to be more of this growth story. So, as much as like pain that maybe I inflicted upon myself by being so public, it also, the good is amplified as well. So the good is really good, the bad is really bad, but like, I love TikTok and I love sharing my life. So I'm not going to be apologetic about that.
Mm-hmm. And you are our favorite TV show, as I said.
Oh,
Like
yes.
people love
Thank
to
you.
watch Allie, the character. And I think like if you think of your favorite TV characters, they're not perfect and they definitely have dramatic stories, whether
Mm-hmm.
that is something really good, like they're getting promoted. And usually they are. Like I love Mindy from the Mindy Project, and
Yes.
she has a lot of complicated relationships that don't work out, but she's a very professional woman and she's doing well in her career, and that's another part of you as well that I
Yeah.
think even on your lives people ask about that. So one thing about your live is that you talked about quitting your job. So
Mm-hmm.
that also happened within this time frame of
Oh
everything
my God,
going on.
yes.
So for those that missed the live, can you tell us what your job was? By the way, we both work in tech sales.
Tech
So
sales. Yep.
like definitely the same sort of area, and I understand a bit of what you do, but for everybody else watching, like what did you do before this job and then quitting this job, and then what are you on to next?
Yeah. Okay. So, quick background on my career, which I do have. I'm not just like a full time serial dater, but since I graduated university, I went to business school and majored in law and business. But when I graduated in 2018, I went into tech sales immediately. At the time, it was booming. Companies like Salesforce, IBM, Oracle, those were all really big, exciting tech companies to work at. And probably you'd be not too surprised to know this, but I made a video series at the time about how badly I wanted to join Salesforce and get into tech sales. And that landed me an interview, which got me the job. And I started my career there doing their entry level sales program. I never like did any sales or selling. I did a lot of mock calls, doing a practice demo, shadowing other people, and finding prospects and information of people that those real sales reps can call. And then from this program, I knew I didn't want to stay and sell Salesforce. So I went to work at Square as a sales development representative. And that job, I just spoke and talked to all the inbounds that came to Square's
Mm.
way. So in sales, these are all the people that like are raising their hand. They're like, call me, I'm interested in buying, call me. So I specialize in inbound for 1 year at Square. And then I specialize in outbound sales at WorldPay, which is a really, really big payments processing company. And they asked me to do outbound. So people aren't expecting my call, but when I reach out, I'm cold calling, cold emailing, and basically building up the pipeline for all the people who were going to close deals. So then I really honed in on my outbound skills there. And to cap off my sales experience, I was an account executive at Shopify, closing deals now, running the full sales cycle. I still cold called, but I did deals. I did demos to show off the product. But honestly, like, I did it, but sales was not for me. Closing deals felt soul crushing. And what I knew I was meant to do was, I wasn't bad at sales. I had a knack for sales, but I also had a knack for teaching. And in the job that I just quit, which was like my dream job and came at a time in my life when I really needed it and to know a career in this was possible, I got into sales enablement where I teach sales. So I do all the training, the onboarding of new sales reps when new products come out, they're doing a pilot, they're rebranding, whatever it is that needs training. I take care of it for the sales development reps. And I did really well. I recently just quit though because I could not live under the leadership I was in. My manager tore me to pieces, like tore away any bit of light I had in this job, and that's no way to live. So I'd rather just move on than operate like that. And I'm going to a new job right after to an e-commerce company. I'm going to be doing a similar thing, enablement, and I get to teach and train and onboard, coach, and support a new amazing team of sellers.
That's awesome. And one thing that I think you said on live as well, your manager was not great when you were at your last role, but you were really loved by the people that you were training.
Mm-hmm.
So, how is that like when you get a new manager, and what was not great about that leadership? Because I think most of us are starting our careers. So, what did you not like about it that prompted you to move?
Yeah. So I'm sure you've all heard the quote, like sometimes it's not about what people say necessarily, but how they make you feel. And my manager every single day made me feel so small, so little, made me feel like I took up a lot of space, that I wasn't good at my job. When external stakeholders would speak to her about my performance, she would never stick up for me. And I felt like she was constantly throwing me under the bus. And having a manager who does not believe in you, who does not want you to grow and do not want you to see yourself do better than they are for themselves, that is not a leader any of us deserve. We need people to push us, especially when, I'm still like early to mid career. I've not learned and done everything that I want to, and just someone that can't teach me things and limits my growth is so unacceptable to me. And I'm so driven, ambitious, and I want to do good work. And that's why it killed me so much. And, the reps that I was training and my teams that worked with me saw the passion, and I was very well regarded at the company. I was the office fairy. But when it comes down to it, the manager writes my performance reviews, and the people that I train, the people that I work alongside don't. So it's really important to have a good manager. And I had to take a stance and get myself to a place where I can be to actually grow and learn and do exciting projects that won't get stomped all over.
Yeah, that's too bad. And I think one thing I want to highlight here is that Allie is a career woman. Like, you do have a lot of ambitions on that side, because I think, to your point, like with TikTok, people might just think you're a serial dater, or you have a
Mm-hmm.
nice apartment, you have a nice dog, and you work for that. I've seen like comments and threads saying that your parents fund your
Yeah.
lifestyle, or where she get her money. But like, you know, what do you want to say about that part?
Yeah, I think that's so interesting because like the people that know me, that know how passionate and serious I am about my career, like it's self-built and 100% self-funded. For the record, my parents are the most plain, simple, um not frugal, but just like they're regular people. They're immigrant parents that have simple government jobs, and they're not funding my life, and I wouldn't want them to. Every bit of money they make, I want it to go towards their retirement. Like I'm lucky enough to have really smart and financially responsible parents. Like they're not going to send me on a private jet and buy me designer stuff, and that's fine, but at least like I don't have to worry about them in their retirement either. So I'm really grateful for that. But, I work really hard. I've been in sales. I made good money and not so good money days. Um, So yeah, it's all self-funded. I wish I had another story. I wish I had rich parents, but that is just the reality of it.
We heard it here first. Like, she works for it, and I think anyone that works in tech sales, I think Toronto's such like a finance city that there's not like a lot of knowledge around tech sales, but that's the nature of tech sales. You can have really good days, you can have really bad days, but
Mhm.
overall you could have a really great year and you take home that salary and also more importantly the commission, so
Yeah.
you're able to self-fund your lifestyle. I think one thing that we've seen through your channel on TikTok, sometimes when you're sad you do retail therapy,
Mhm.
and I think people are sometimes blown away by the amount that you do purchase. And then that's maybe where the allegations came up of like, oh, like your parents fund your lifestyle. Could you talk about like your relationship with shopping, or what do you like to buy?
Mm.
And like, do you feel certain things are needed to treat yourself? Because obviously I do. So yeah, what do you like?
Yeah. So I think the internet saw the worst part of it. It's definitely not like that anymore. And for context, like, to what extent is she treating herself? Like, I would just pop on and be like, I got a new iPhone, I got a new MacBook Pro, I got $1,000 worth of Sephora, like pretty extreme stuff. Or like, here's my shopping spree from Kith. Like, I not just regular schmegular, I treated myself to a lipstick. It wasn't like that. And to be frank, that was a very unhealthy time. That was unhealthy because I thought I deserved the world and I would get these huge, extravagant presents for myself. I thought I deserved to travel and take trips and buy tickets somewhere last minute. I thought that. And financially, it was not healthy. And mentally, that wasn't healthy, and something that I have addressed in therapy. So, truthfully, like, you all saw the worst moments, but it's not like that anymore. And I know different ways to channel like my need to cope in the moment that wasn't buying stuff, but like, not good behavior. Admittedly, do not treat yourself to that extent. Like, it's not necessary. It was definitely like irrational, erratic behavior, admittedly.
Yeah, I remember watching and like you got the MacBook Pro. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you can admit, but it sounds like you didn't, you're not like in a giant debt hole. You learn from it, you can revise your behavior. So
Yeah.
that being said, now you're going through a breakup. Now maybe your old behavior would have been like, let me go buy,
Mm-hmm.
drop like $5,000, $10,000 or whatever I want.
Yeah.
What are you doing now? Are you still giving yourself presents that are just a little bit different, or how are you treating yourself post breakup?
Yeah, I'm showing up for myself differently. And something to take note of is like, there's always reasons to any kind of behavior and your upbringing. And my parents showed a lot of love in gift giving and
Mm-hmm.
financially. So if I did well on my grades, I'd get a gift.
Mm-hmm.
If I got a good report card, or I was just like excelling at life and in student groups and in my extracurriculars, I get gifts. So following that pattern with the parents and like how I was nurtured, that's how I felt like I needed to show up for myself. I'm feeling bad or I'm deserving gift. And that's not a healthy pattern. So to break the pattern, I show up for myself by simply just going out for a walk, doing my skincare routine, doing my hobbies and things that I like. Admittedly, like, I'm sitting in my living room screaming at the top of my lungs doing karaoke because singing just feels good. And I treat myself to like a coffee, like when I'm out on a coffee walk. Not that I'm not treating myself to anything, and just surrounding myself with people. I'm also an only child. So I always felt like I had to do it alone, but now I'm treating myself to the gift of friendship and social time, and how much it fills my cup to cultivate relationships. And people that have resonated with my story and me as a person have reached out, and I've entertained a lot of coffee dates and brunch dates and hangouts to open myself up back to the world. And I'm really not in this alone, and Toronto has made that very evident in their support this time around in the breakup. So yeah, there's different ways that I'm coping this time around. We don't need to buy a MacBook Pro.
That's so funny. And those things sound so much better than a MacBook Pro. I'm sure your MacBook Pro, you still work on today and it's good, but it seems different this time around, and I feel like the city is like has your back with this one.
Yeah.
Like when you posted your breakup video and you said, TikTok, I've never asked you for anything, and you haven't, because I think a lot of people, they watch you, they laugh about your stories, they share it with their friends, but you're a good sport about it.
Yeah.
You've never asked them for anything, but
No.
then you
It
did
was the
ask
one
them
time.
for, actually, why don't you tell, like, what did you ask them for, and then how did the audience deliver?
Oh yeah. So when the breakup happened, and I do not ask TikTok for anything, but I was bawling my eyes out, and all I needed in that moment was someone that wasn't me. And I left the power to the internet to say something good, a nice, uplifting comment. And hundreds, if not thousands, of people showed up and wrote really kind, uplifting things. Toronto businesses have reached out to me to gift me things, to cheer me up. And it's just been like the most support I've seen this time around. And maybe like the rawness of the breakup and like the emotions and how differently maybe I treated this one versus how chaotic the one earlier in the year was. So yeah, it really was different this time around.
Yeah, and as a viewer for a long time, I think it is different in also the way the audience interacts, but in your maturity and what you're learning. So for somebody that hasn't been around, I guess from the start of the year, when it came to your relationships and dating and then your maturity about all of that, where did you start the year? Were you single last year, like January 2025, or were you in a relationship?
Good question. Exactly January 1st, 2025, this year was when I broke up with two exes ago now. I started the year off with a breakup. So it set the year off on a really strong tone that, like, I'm not going to settle, but it also took a whole year to truly learn those lessons. All the videos are gone now, but to recap, I met this guy from Vancouver at a speed dating event. We fell in love. I made it so public on the internet. People know that he got me an English bulldog puppy for my birthday, who I still love and cherish to this day. People know me from this huge series that I put out at the beginning of the year. It was 13 parts explaining who the heck did I date and how Vancouver Man didn't turn out to be the person I wanted him to be. And the internet died. I got like way too much flack on that one. I deleted the whole series, but it lives on and carries on. So those of you who have seen it, that was like a point in time only you can bond over, and it won't be existing ever again. And then I fell into this spiral of just like date after date after date. And I was just so eager to find someone. And through a lot of like healing and reflection, I think all the dating was also me trying to cut corners in my own healing and my own growth and development, because I thought if I, one, date older, and two, just find a man, then that could bring me more stability. It's going to bring me more career growth, possibly, and might help me feel financially better off. And the big lesson is like, you just can't cut corners in this life. And when I've come back, reset, and rebuild myself, investing back in myself is the most important part. And it pays off tenfold than seeking anything from any man ever would. And it took me a while to get to this point, but it has also only been one calendar year. So it's felt like forever. It felt like you've been on this crazy roller coaster with me, but it's also been less than a year of growth and learning to catapult myself into a whole lifetime of more wisdom and approaching relationships in a better way.
I think that's super well said, especially because we can all start to see that maturity and then relate to you. I think your chaotic stories were hilarious, probably less relatable to the average person, but almost like a TV show. However, your most recent one, although like you moved in very quickly, 3 months, and happened. Actually, we could talk about that.
Yeah.
But the undertones, like the people sharing their stories about their breakups and stuff in the comments, like there's still very common themes throughout that I think people have bonded over, especially just even in your comments, even if you're not responding. So I think that's, you built a community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice. Yeah, the most recent story, which by the way, like I have to stand up for this. I think it is reasonable. I think it is reasonable. And let's unpack that for a second. So, my boyfriend and I had been dating at that point for 3 months. And I know it's very soon to move in. I know that. However, given the circumstances at the time, I was doing a good deed for a really good friend. She needed a place to stay for a couple weeks, and I wanted full heartedly her to have my entire home in Toronto so friends could visit, her husband could visit, and I wanted her to have her own space and feel safe. So as a partner in life, I went to my boyfriend and said, hey, like, can I stay with you for this duration of time? And we're also having very serious conversations at the time about what our future was going to look like, what moving in could look like. So it's not like it came out of the blue. What I do take accountability for is maybe assuming or not getting the most clarity that I need. But I wasn't also delusional, like, I'm moving in, surprise. Like, it wasn't like that. There were lots of conversations, and we decided that at least for a couple weeks, like, this is what we could do and have a trial period. And it's not like I gave up my place. I did not sell one thing in that condo. I kept everything as is. I just took some clothes with me, some of my dog Binky's things, and it was a very good trial run. And you know what, like, there is a balance, but hey, I also got to see and know what I needed to know. And even if it led to the breakup, like, oh, they moved in and now they broke up, thank goodness. Thank goodness we did. And thank goodness I did move in, because this is only a 4-month investment versus maybe what could have been longer, but still didn't work out in the long run. So I stand by that decision. And on the topic of time and duration, I also just wanted to say to everyone that, like, 4 months might have not been a long time, but like, breakups hurt less about the amount of time you invest in it, but how much of yourself and what you pictured your future to be, and the investment and that impact might vary. So it doesn't depend on time. And I can say this was the hardest breakup. The shortest relationship, yes, but the hardest breakup I've ever went through as well.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen comments on your video saying over a 3 month relationship, by the way, dot, 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 like invalidating. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if you've been with somebody in a shorter period of time, you don't get to see like all that you envisioned. Sometimes if you're together years and years, it's like, well, I tried that, didn't work, try that, didn't work, okay, like it's done. So
Yeah.
yeah, like how does that feel when somebody in your comments is saying like, get over it, it was so short, when obviously you're so heartbroken?
Yeah, it stings. I'm human, so I can't say like, "Oh, it's fine." It just bounces off. It doesn't bounce off. It definitely stings, and I absorb the sting. But through what I've been through, it stings less than it would have 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and now. So I'm more resilient. I can handle it, and it's a good practice of like character and confidence in who you are. It stings for a second, and then I remember what I experienced, who I am, and the person that I want to be. And that grounds me and makes it that much easier. Like, they didn't feel the relationship, they weren't there for the laughs and the
Mm-hmm.
tears and the memories. And I lived that through that. So I have more context into my feelings. So it stings for a second, but then I know myself enough by now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And speaking of like the haters, there's been Reddit threads, more shares than likes. People are mean in comments. I don't get a fraction of those hate comments, not because, I'm better or anything, but I probably just make less content that would have that sort of, reaction. How do you keep posting despite sometimes like seeing what you see?
Yeah. Um, I think because I really, and I'm going to say this because I want to manifest and put this out there, I really believe I have something to say and space to take up in this world. I need to be the biggest believer, and I need to believe in that first. And because of this belief and this desire, it keeps me going back to posting on TikTok time and time again, because the haters will always be there, but if I don't show up for the people that want to be here truly and invested in me, then what's the point? So yeah, the haters suck, but then I think about the 80% of people that are invested, that are interested, and that are going to help me take this to the next level. So my confidence in myself and where this journey could take me, and for the people that care. People check in, like strangers on the internet, and I've never seen this kind of kindness towards a stranger, but maybe indirectly, like this parasocial relationship that people have with me. And maybe it's because they feel the genuine good that I see in people, whether people be strangers, and the genuine good I want to put back in the world. And I think when people feel aligned with me on that mission and what I'm after here, then that's the community I want to cultivate and grow.
Mm-hmm. And like as a viewer, I could feel your positivity through the screen. You could be saying the most, like, you've had, like, I remember the weekend relationship
Yeah.
that was in, I think, Easter weekend of this year,
Yeah.
and you got into a weekend relationship, but you were laughing about it, and obviously it's a fantastical story, but like you're positive about it, like even going on your live saying that you quit your job and you're excited for the new adventure. Like positivity radiates wherever you go, and you choose that. Is that difficult to do when you have things that are thrown your way?
It used to be more difficult, and now it comes extremely easily and naturally. And I think like radiating positivity is like a muscle that you work on. I grew up a really bitter, very jealous, very negative person on the inside. And it's so much work being negative. It's so uncomfortable. These horrible emotions and feelings bottle up inside. And so I've actively had to work on the muscle and the skill of, okay, like turning bad situations into growth opportunities, showing up. And even when I don't feel like smiling when I tell kind of an unhinged story, to find the humor and to find the good in it. So it wasn't always easy, but when I've been practicing that for 10 plus years now and working on myself and going to therapy. Also, people tell me to go to therapy. I have been since I was 17, and I am 29 years old now. And I think some of that shows how I handle difficult situations. Like it's just taken practice. And as time goes on, and maybe I share more of myself, like I probably went through more trauma in this lifetime than a human should. And that builds me up too. Yeah.
that that's so well said. I'm so curious about your childhood. Like you've been going to therapy since you're 17, which by the way I think is great. And you changed. You, like, bitter is not a word I thought you would ever use. Jealous was a word I never thought you'd use.
Mm-hmm.
So like going back, like where did you grow up? Like what's your family life like? You're an only child. And then could you talk about becoming the person you are today despite or because of how you started out?
Yeah. So I was born in China in the north, and I came to Canada with my parents. They immigrated when I was 5 years old. And since I was little, I was always praised for just naturally being so good. I was the baby that never cried. I learned to ride a bike in like 20 minutes. I learned all the English I know now in 1 year of senior kindergarten and never went to ESL. I went to school, I got good grades, I did everything right. And my whole life was obsessed around pleasing my parents because they're immigrants to this country of Canada and they sacrificed their whole life for me. And my mother claims her whole purpose in life is to be my mother and love me. So there's a lot of pressure, and the complexities and nuances of growing up as an immigrant in a Western country with immigrant parents, and you're split between a culture. So I'm navigating this, and I'm also navigating a lot of like perfectionism and trying to make something of myself in this world to make it have worth my parents' sacrifices. And somewhere along the way, I developed, which is really common now, but some mental health illnesses that carried with me even through now. I officially got diagnosed when I was 17 in my senior year of high school with depression, bipolar, and anxiety, and I take medication for it. But that was also something that I've had to navigate, of not just the daily struggles of life, but like the added stress and things that mental health brings you. And I think that I'm only as happy and positive as I am because I've gone through really traumatic things and being hospitalized for my mental health and going through some really bad experiences and like reliving my childhood sometimes and thinking about like, you know, how a lot of times my parents went wrong, but they did the best they could. So with all that added up makes me who I am and adds more color to who I am as a person, why I might handle things a little bit flawed because I'm carrying traumas with me, but also might shed light to maybe like how I approach life and like my intuition and emotional intelligence.
You're a fantastic storyteller.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're able to. I feel like that's just such a complex way of growing up that you just described kind of elegantly. Like, and do you think your parents are proud of you today? Like, what's your relationship with them now?
They are proud of me today. We've come a long way. They weren't always, they had big aspirations for me. And then when stuff went bad and the mental health breakdowns happened, they had no hope for me. And now we are at a happy medium where they just want me to live a fulfilling life, whatever fulfillment means to me. It also helped me um, build up a lot of walls and put up boundaries, and we have a really healthy relationship now, and I call my mom every single day. But it wasn't easy. There were a lot of times where I resented my parents. There were times when I didn't want to talk to my mother and didn't go home and visit them for months. There were times where my therapist wrote a letter to my mom about how much she affected me. Like, they affected me so much, and I know a lot of children of immigrant parents probably live with similar struggles, but you too can come out of it when you start putting down what is bothering you, and there are ways you can mend the relationship to where it's healthy and tolerable.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you that don't know, my mom was born here. My dad came here when he was 10. So, one thing that we talked about over drinks the first time we met was about the relationship with immigrant parents, maybe how it's a bit different than second generation, because I cannot quite relate or even have ideas on the sort of trauma that might be associated with that. Um, from what you want to share, what is that like?
I feel like having immigrant parents that don't speak English or the native language very well makes you grow up much faster
Mm.
than you should have. For example, at the age of 5 or 6, I was already translating. I have to look and fill out my school forms and just tell my mom where to sign. I'm always figuring out like what's the best thing to say and like teaching social cues even. So I had to grow up faster than my parents
Mm.
even did because I had to help them assimilate to the culture because I learned English as a child really quickly, and I had to take a lot of the burden of like redirecting my life in the way that I needed to go from a Western perspective that only I understood, and had to parent my parents in a lot of ways and teach them how to survive in this country of Canada.
Hmm. And that's hard as an only child. You didn't have somebody that you could have, help with, but then also relate to, because I think you're sharing that stress all to yourself, and you might bottle that in. How do you think being an only child affects you today? Did you wish that you had a sibling growing up, or even now?
That's a good question. So it might be interesting to know I've always wanted to be an only child,
Mm.
actually. I have always been gun ho on I'm always going to be the only child. I don't want siblings. That's going to ruin our family dynamic. I don't want siblings. So I'm happy I'm the only child. To this day, I would always prefer to be the only child because think of the burden of growing up and parenting my parents and maybe a sibling. Like, it was already bad enough as it was. I don't need siblings adding to the complexity of my life and then fighting with them. And who knows how else a sibling might make things more turbulent in a family. So I'm happy that I am. What it has turned me to since ever is like being a lone wolf in this world. And that's a way that TikTok helps me, because I feel like I'm so unique. My challenges are so uniquely me. That's because I don't have siblings and anyone else that close to relate to this. But TikTok is also a place of comfort, because different people relate to so many different parts of me
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't get that relatability if I didn't put myself out there. So in a way, TikTok is really comfortable. And in another way, like my online community and a family that I can turn to. Like reversely, I probably have a parasocial relationship with my viewers, because I'm like, are they well? Why are my usuals not on this live? Are they okay? So yeah, like the love is back at you. Reversely, I care about you. Um, yeah. Anyways, I think I went on a side tangent, but always wanted to be an only child though.
Okay. And how does that, like, you're independent, you're a lone wolf, you live alone, like, how do you pick your friends and like making sure you have a good social circle, especially because yeah, you don't have a sibling and you're kind of doing things alone?
Yeah, so my friends are extremely diverse. I have like a million little groups. So
Hmm.
I have a small group of friends. The main friend is a girl I knew from childhood, and she just inserted me into her life and her whole
Hmm.
friend group. So that's a group of girls that the girl knows from my childhood, and they're all also very supportive. And then I have my best friend from, I guess she lives in New York now, but we all knew her as Chicago Sarah. And we met on TikTok and just became soul sisters. I have work besties and just different categories of besties that serve and fulfill different buckets in my life.
Okay, very nice. And are they in relationships? You're 29 now, so are you finding that they're gonna get married and all that stuff?
Yeah, actually, Chicago Sarah is married, and then my childhood friend is married as well. Like a
Oh.
lot of my friends are married. So it definitely makes me feel like sometimes behind, rarely behind, but
Sometimes.
it definitely triggers like, am I doing the right things? What's wrong with me? But I also have a good amount of friends that are older and still single, so that gives me hope.
Do you want to get married? Like, I hate to talk about like a 5 year plan because it's just hard to ever know. And it sounded like you did have some planning with your past partner, but what do you think? Like, are you turning 30 in 2026?
Yes,
So,
I'm turning 30 in 2026. I can't believe it.
so let's talk about that and like your plans for being early 30s. Like, do you have a strict timeline that you want to get married, or what's your approach to that?
The end goal is always to get married. Like, yeah, I'm going through a breakup, but I love to love. I love to love. And there's two options. Either this breakup was the last love I'll ever have, or I am going to find my person and fall in love so hard and get married. When, I don't know, but I would love to get married. I love the idea of marriage, of partnership. Like, I'm all for strong, independent girls who don't need no man, but like, do you know how fulfilling a life with a partner in crime is, through the thick, through the thin, and you choosing to love each other and be there every day? Like, that's so special to me. So I want to get married. No timeline, but something that I have solidified, and something the internet asked me about is like, you said you never wanted kids, and then you
Mm-hmm.
wanted kids, and then where are we at now? You heard it here. I don't want kids. I should have like
Oh,
never
wow.
lied to myself and the world. Like, I only wanted kids with my boyfriend at the time, but like, if it's not him, it's not anybody for this kid situation. So I think maybe I was kind of like changing up the narrative and my wants and needs for him. And so like now taking him out of the equation and just me and myself and I'm like, need to be real with myself. I don't want kids. And what the next few years look like, I want to grow my career and grow TikTok and cultivate more friendships and put my eggs in lots of different baskets, like hobbies, and continuing to busk around Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
continuing to work with different brands, make really fun content, and do like big bucket list things. Like, I want to do a TED Talk sometime. Um, just like be bigger on different social media platforms. So yeah, that's the plan, and hopefully get married.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you get married too. the kids part was surprising to me just now because yeah, you said it on live, like yeah, like maybe with my current partner. Um, why do you not want kids, and like when did you realize that it's probably not something you ever want?
Mm-hmm. I think kids are not for me because I spent so much of my life nurturing other people that only now at almost 30 am I trying to nurture and give back to myself. And
Mm.
I already gave up 30 years to other people, and children is nothing but giving and unconditional love and devotion that for what I've been through and for what I want out of life, I have to choose me first. If I don't
Mm-hmm.
choose myself first now, today, and forever, I'm not going to be fulfilled and happy. And I just know that I will be happier devoting everything I can from this point forward to myself. And so it's not fair to my children. Could I do it? Do people tell me that I'm a good mom? Yeah, they do. And sure, I could do it. But like, you need to have so much desire that even in a streak of sleepless nights, you still are happy you chose that life. And if I got 3 sleepless nights, can't travel, and the kid is taking over my life, like there's just so much life I have to live than to be a mother.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that not wanting kids makes it difficult to date, especially as you are turning 30 next year?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think, based on my experience, more men want children than women. In my
Mm.
experience, dating and meeting different people. So it is going to make it challenging. However, challenging doesn't mean impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that it's the one where we're aligned on this core value and that I cannot lose myself again and
Mm-hmm.
compromise my values for someone else. So scarce, yes, but it's not going to be impossible.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know it's going to f up my chances, but that's okay. What's meant for me will come to me.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. And switching gears a little bit, you've talked about Ozempic, and how long were you on Ozempic? Or I guess you're still
Mm,
kind of
on and off for
on
like a year and a half
year
now.
and a half. So, what is that like? What was your decision to go on Ozempic? And do you like it? Would you recommend it to people? Because it's such a popular drug right now. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of people, I don't know, like what's so cool about you, Allie, is that there's so many like stories, and like your tech sales, like your dating life, but then like Ozempic too. And you talk very openly. Like you're all the interests that people like want right now in one person, and you're local to Toronto, and you're just like all of us. So as like a regular Toronto girl, young professional, what was your reason for starting Ozempic, and do you like it?
So I started Ozempic because I was at the heaviest body weight point in my life, and it was really starting to get in the way of my confidence,
Mm.
of just like mobility. I could barely bend down and tie my shoes
Really?
without being out of breath. It was really affecting my
Wow.
life. I was like physically unhealthy, mentally unhealthy, and really down about my weight. And because of some medications that I take, some have to do with mental health, some others, it makes me more susceptible to diabetes and weight gain. So it was just not in my cards to be a skinny itty bitty person. It was
Mm-hmm.
more destined for me to be overweight and on the BMI scale obese. So I decided that I'm just going to try out Ozempic. I was at
Mm-hmm.
my wits' end. I didn't have any other option. I mean, I did, but like, just circumstances. Like, I didn't have time to go to the gym 3 times a week and the capacity to meal prep. So I thought, I'm going to try this out. I went to a telemedicine platform and got my prescription, and I lost so much weight in 6 months, in a year. I probably lost 40 pounds at my most. And because I'm on and off Ozempic, when I'm on, everything's fine. I can maintain my weight. I can lose weight. When I'm off, I gain it all the way back. And so, what I will say is, Ozempic is amazing for me because of the way it's helped me lose and how much of life it has given back to me. But would I recommend it to others? No. no, because if you have the willpower and the discipline to do this yourself, please do. Like, Ozempic is not good for me. I hate going through these like peaks and valleys. When I'm off it, I eat like crazy. When I'm on it, I eat nothing. Like, that type of yo-yoing is not good. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
I also know that it's so addictive. I never want to get off of it. I want to be on
Mm-hmm.
it for as long as I can, maintain my weight, and that's probably not good for me either. So if you can, do not. It's like a gateway into never really taking ownership and power over your physical health and diet. And it's like really just another shortcut that I'm taking, and I'm okay saying that. But hopefully, I can get myself in a place that I can get off in the summer. So 6 more months, I think, and then I'll try to get off. But it's hard. It's really hard. I really like it. I really like who I am on it. I like how it makes me look. I like everything about it.
So you said 6 more months of Ozempic. Like, what does that look like? Do you have like a goal weight, or like, and even maintaining without Ozempic? Like, is there a world where you can do that through diet and exercise and you maintain that goal weight?
I don't know yet. I'm kind of just like putting it out there and praying to the universe. I have no plan. I'm just gonna have to put a lot of work into being ready, like have a workout plan, have mechanisms to hold myself accountable. I have to set up a lot of things, so that's gonna be a 2026 problem. But at this point in time, no idea. I'm just like saying it out there. Can I walk the talk? Probably not at this point, but we'll get there. We have 6 more months.
Yeah, and how do you actually administer Ozempic, and how often do you do it? Is it like every 2 weeks? It's a needle?
Yeah, it's a tiny little needle, and I take it every week when I meant to. I take it weekly. Um, and yeah, it's painless. It's a tiny little needle. The dosage that you put in depends, and I'm on the lowest dose. That's why I feel like it's so sustainable. I'm not like on the heaviest dose. The lowest is 0.25 milligrams weekly. So it's just working really well for me.
And where do you put it in? Like your stomach, or like?
Yeah, I think you could put it in the bottom of your arm, your leg, or your stomach, but I put it in my stomach because I just think it hurts the least there because I have fatty there.
Okay, very cool. So with Ozempic, could you describe what it's like? How do you like not eat food? Like, what does it feel like? I've heard that you might be like nauseous, or you just like even smells sometimes. You're just like, I don't want that. Like,
Mm.
do you not have cravings for chocolate or sweets or like fries, salty stuff, chips? Like, what is it like to actually be on Ozempic?
I guess I'll paint the picture by describing who I am not on Ozempic and the effects of what Ozempic does. So, not on Ozempic, my brain is constantly shouting at me about food. I'm
Hmm.
constantly craving everything. I crave chips, I crave cookies, I crave donuts, I crave ice cream, I crave pizza. And I spend an obscene amount of time on Uber Eats, like, there's so many options. I kind of want to eat everything. And like, and then I end up over ordering, and then I do eat everything, and then I feel horrible about myself. What Ozempic does is, in the easiest way I can describe, is like it shuts off the food noise. I don't think about any food, and I forget that I even need to eat. So I have to remind myself, like, oh, it's lunchtime, I need to eat. And when I do eat, it's also an appetite suppressant, and I don't eat as much as I used to. So not only am I not thinking about food constantly, when I am eating, I don't eat as much. And so just by how little intake of calories I'm consuming, that slims me down without having to do a whole bunch of exercise, which is also something I struggle with so hard, exercising. I think I have a video where I'm like, I have a fear of workout classes. I do. So I'll have to work on that. But yeah, that's why it works, because just the sheer littleness of calories
Hmm.
that you're eating, like that makes all the difference.
Does food still taste good then? You just, yeah, the
Yeah.
flavors are still there and
Yeah,
everything.
not fully. Like, you could know if you had butter chicken, it's butter chicken, and it's fine. You just can't eat as much as you used to be able to. It fills you up really quickly.
So, I mean, like with butter chicken, I could eat like a whole half a plate of butter chicken and a whole half a plate of rice and like really stack it up. Like if you're on Ozempic, what do you think is what's your typical portion size for something like that?
Like a quarter portion of rice, 2 pieces of chicken, 2 cubes of chicken and some sauce.
No wonder why you lost weight like that.
Yeah. And like I'd be happy eating like 3 broccolis and 3 cauliflower with ranch for lunch. Yeah.
It really does sound like a miracle drug.
It's a miracle drug. Please don't do it. Like, I'm not trying to glorify it. It just is so good for me, but I'm telling you, it's addictive because it is such a miracle.
So the sun is setting. The last question I want to ask you, Allie, is what do you want the audience to know about you that they do not know right now?
But they do not know right now. I think what the audience should know that maybe doesn't come across is that like I am unimaginably strong as a person. I mean, maybe it's not presented that way because I'm visibly breaking down on camera. But like, as you get to know me more, as I share more of my life, you're going to realize, how much I can show up for myself and people I care about and the world in storms. I want you to know that I'm also like the human is human. And maybe that's why I put forth myself so authentically online. And like, you'll know, I hope I get to meet a lot more of you, but I am the same on the screen as I am in person, just like living my life, and the way that it translates on the screen is what I want. I want you to know exactly who I am. And yeah, I'm just the same person and just a regular person. So please be kind.
I mean, you are resilient. The stuff that you've gone through, like I cannot believe, especially just this calendar year. And I've met you in person before. You're the exact same. I actually think you're even brighter in real life.
Oh, thank you.
Like it is true. So I know you encourage people to say hi to you if they see you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd say so too. So thank you everybody for listening to episode 1 of Toronto Friends podcast. And let us know who you want to see next, or if you want Allie for part 2, say that too.
Let us know.
Bye everybody.
Bye.